as short and sweet as we can because we know how much everyone's got to do. We just felt it was a useful time to make sure we're getting everyone up to date as quickly as possible with time moving on so much. Just a couple of etiquette things first, and then we'll do the introductions. So yeah, if you could keep your mic on mute until you're speaking. If you're wanting to ask a question, can you do the thing where you raise your hand, either physically, and Rachel, if you see them and I don't, if you can let me know, but otherwise then just using the reaction shot, if that's okay. We'll take questions as we go, but obviously we'll try and keep things moving along. I would love if we'd had an opportunity to have more of a discussion so we could share what everyone's doing, but unfortunately time is against us, so we just want to make sure we're bringing you up to speed and you guys are comfortable with all of the information that you've received, because I'm conscious how much you guys have received in the last week or so since you got your award offer letter. So if we do the introductions, if that's okay. Have we got, I'm just going to do them so I can tick them off on my list if that's all right as we go. Have we got Sorsan from Damask? And if you can introduce yourself with your name, your organisation and the area that you're covering with Healthy Holidays, please. Don't think I can see Sorsan on there. Okay, have we got Manny from Invisible Circle? I can't see him on my list either. Becky from Gipton Together.
I'm here, if you can hear me. I don't know if you can see me.
Hi, Becky.
Hiya.
So Becky, if you just want to just to introduce yourself from the organisation you're from and the area you're supporting.
Okay, so we're from, I'm with my colleague Jill McGrory as well.
Hi, Jill.
Hi.
We work with Gipton Together, and we are supporting the young people in Gipton and the surrounding areas by providing youth provisions, usually on an evening, but obviously through lockdown we're doing lots of different other bits and pieces, and we are hoping to go ahead with the summer camp, which is the last 2 weeks of August.
Okay, great, thanks. I'm afraid we're really not going to have time to talk about what you're doing, so if you can just keep it to your name, your organisation and the area, the geographical area you're operating from, that would be great. Thank you so much. Phil, are you okay introducing yourself and the rest of the Community Foundation team?
Yes, fine. Phil Rogerson, I'm from Guysley Community Foundation. We're running Healthy Holidays in Leeds 19, which we did last year. Struggling a little bit with venues, but I think we might be getting there. And Steve Taylor's our development manager, who is also with us.
Great, thank you both. Have we got Fran from the old fire station? I don't think she's on yet.
No, she's not on yet, Francesca.
No, okay, thanks. And Katie from West Oaks? Katie Hurley? No. Becky from New Wortley? No, don't think we've got Becky yet either. Who have we got next? Donna Schofield from Crossfields? No Donna yet. Paula from Mount St Mary's.
Hello everyone. We're based in Richmond Hill, which is LS9, although our students come from all over. So we are a school, it's a transition summer school for our year 6 and year 7.
Great, thanks. And have we got Becky Jones from Gipsall? No, can't see her on my list either. I'm not sure I've seen Flavia either from Getaway Girls.
Tomorrow, Francesca.
Oh, that's why. I'm sorry. I should be looking at the right list. Thank you. What an idiot. Amy from West Silk. Amy and Michelle, please.
Yes, I'm Amy from the West Silk School, specialist school over in Stanningley, but our children come from all over Leeds.
Okay, thanks, Amy. And Naomi, fall into place?
Hi, yeah, we are working in Seacroft over the summer.
Great stuff. And you're partnering up with 2 other local community groups too?
Trust, and Seacroft Community on top to work in 6 areas across Seacroft.
Great stuff. Thanks, Naomi. Lauren?
Hi, Lauren. Let's do more CIC. I'm going to be in the Beeston, Chapeltown, and Seacroft area of Leeds over the summer.
Great stuff. Thank you. And Angela from Grimsdyke?
Hi, I'm Angela, and we will be working at Grimsdyke Primary School. That's Leeds 14, so it covers Stanks and Swarcliffe.
Great stuff. And Adele?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Adele from the Kirkstall Valley Development Trust. My colleague Louise is also sitting in on the meeting, and
Hi,
we're covering
Louise.
the Kirkstall area.
Great stuff. And Pete from Ping Pong for You?
Pete can't make it, but I'll talk for him. He's hoping to do 7 venues across Leeds.
Great stuff. Thanks, Kate. And then Jonathan, Creative Frame.
Hi, everybody. We're operating south and east Leeds, so mainly in Seacroft at the moment, right through up to Hawksworth, so that kind of corridor in south and east.
Great. And Jonathan, like Pete, are 2 of the projects we're funding will be delivering activity, and so we'll want to be liaising with the rest of you if you're operating in those areas to make sure they can deliver through you to the children that you're supporting. Thanks, Jonathan. Kate, Street Games.
Hi, yeah, sorry, me again. So we're running some of the online training as part of this project.
Great. Thanks, Kate. And Leanne from Bramley Park.
Hi all. We're a primary school in West Leeds. It's in Bramley.
Great. Thanks, Leanne. And Sophia.
Hiya, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I'm Sophie from the Leeds City Council Financial Inclusion Team.
Great. So it's the financial inclusion team that have been funding Healthy Holidays and funded the initial pilot 2 years ago. Thanks, Sophia.
Thank you.
And Chris from TCV.
Hi, yeah, so I'm based at Skelton Grange in South Leeds, but we'll be working with children from across Leeds. Just depends which groups choose to come.
Great stuff. And then lastly, we've had Fran join from the old fire station.
Many apologies for my lateness. That was a sudden like, oh my God, is that the time? I'm Fran Etherington from the old fire station in Gipton.
Welcome, Fran. If it makes you feel any better, I felt like that, and I'm helping to organise the meeting. So.
Sorry.
Great stuff. Okay. I just wanted, if you could just put up your hands if this is the first time you are involved in Healthy Holidays. I know some of you were involved last year or even the year before, but if you're new, if you just want to put up your hand or wave your hand. Okay, so I think there's a couple of you who are new, like Chapel FM, but most of the and I'm so sorry, Tom. Please do introduce yourself.
I'm Tom Booth. I am the Assistant Community Hub Manager for West Leeds for the face-to-face Leeds City Council services, and we're delivering a Healthy Holidays scheme across the city this year.
Great.
And I'm Amelia Gunn. I work in Leeds City Council too on child property, and I help coordinate the school sides of Healthy Holidays.
Thanks so much. I'm so sorry I've forgotten both Tom and Amelia. My apologies. And thank you for all the work you've been doing behind the scenes, particularly to coordinate with the schools and the community hubs. Yes, so our new organisations this year are Chapel FM and also the Kirkstall Valley Development Trust. So if there are particular questions you've got, guys, we can always catch up after this meeting as well if you're still feeling unsure about anything. Okay, great. Okay, so let's get cracking. As with last year, we've got a combination of third sector organisations, schools and community hubs. The community hubs that are operating are going to be delivering to primary school children only, but everyone else you'll be offering to, and of course the schools will be to their school children. The community organisations will tend to operate very differently, and you'll be meeting the needs of primary school or secondary or a combination of both. This year, of course, is going to look very different to last year. So having spoken to most of you now, and of course seen your applications, there's a real combination of online activity, offline activity, often activity packs dropped off at the doorstep, on-site in a safe way, as some of you are doing, or outdoors, which more of you are doing. And the food is going to be provided by all of you in terms of the conversations we've had so far as a combination of food parcels, and for some of you as cold grab bags or hot grab bags, or a combination of all of that. As you'll all know, the COVID-19 safety requirements for everything you do are really important. With your grant offer letter, your award letter, you'll have received safety guidance for both food and for physical activity. As we get more information or anything changes, we'll of course be sending that out and sharing that with you. As we've got just quite a few items we want to cover, so I will try and get through as quickly but as comprehensively as possible. So I just wanted firstly to share my screen with you once I've got the listing up to show you what's going on. So I'm just going to share my screen now. Okay, oops. So this is the Leeds area with the different wards. We'll be sharing this map with everyone on the back of this meeting. You can see that we've got the community cares hubs. Those are the different colours. Oops. Yeah, and that will show you who's operating that community cares hub should you need to make contact with them at all. The community cares hubs, for those of you who don't know, have been set up as part of the COVID response. They are there to provide help and support to local people. The Central Leeds Council referral number refers the queries through to the relevant community hub. And as part of that, food is one of the things that they have obviously been delivering. Some of you are community hubs, care community hubs, so you'll know all about this. Some of you, this may be the first time you might want to connect to them as part of your work in your local area. In addition to that, you can see the schools. This is our school, the organisations that we've offered funding to. The Leeds City Council community hubs, not all of them will be delivering healthy holidays in the summer, and our third sector organisations. With this map, what you can also do, should you need to, is you can look at the different priority areas in the city. Obviously, that's one of the things we wanted to prioritise, is making sure that we're funding those areas that have the most need. And the other thing you can do is with each of these, we will be putting on the contact detail information. At the moment, we're in the process of updating this. So should you need to get in touch with other organisations that are operating Healthy Holidays, you'll be able to do that. And we'll be providing just a simple word list that lists all of the organisations as well. The other thing I wanted to mention about this is one of the reasons we're producing this and sharing information with you is we do want you to connect to the other organisations that are operating in your local area, so that you are not doubling up. You're not all contacting the same children or supporting the same children and families, and that we can maximise the number of children that we're supporting through Healthy Holidays, and also making sure that people aren't, children aren't slipping through the cracks. And in terms of that engagement, just so you know, what we're also doing is we're liaising with the different multi-agency groups that are operating out there, like the cluster groups, and through the council, some of their networks, to ensure we've been raising awareness of what's coming, and then sharing the information on the projects as soon as we could, so that they are connecting their most vulnerable children to you as well. Amelia, Tom and Sophia, please do feel free to jump in if there's anything I'm missing out as we go. Rachel, I forgot to ask whether we're recording. And we've got the recording button on. If anyone is uncomfortable with that, could they message in the to Rachel in the chat, please? Thanks so much. So yes, so that's what we're doing with the engagement this year. So it will be less like your previous years when you've had to do your marketing and promotional activity, particularly because of how close we are to the holidays. We have already been getting the word out with those organisations. We know a number of you have already been supporting children and their families during lockdown anyway. So the conversations I've been having with some of you is that you already know the ones you're going to be supporting. But if you do need extra help in reaching any of those children and young people, please do contact me. You've all got my contact details. We also wanted to support a bit of project, cross-project sharing as well. We know a lot of you are doing online activities, some of which is just for your group, some of which could be shared with other Healthy Holiday projects. And lastly, some of the activities or resources you have that you might be happy to share more broadly with children and families across Leeds. So what we've produced, which I will be sending you a link to on the back of this, just sharing my screen again, is just a simple spreadsheet where if you can put in any of the links to anything that you are happy to share of the activities you're providing, with other projects, so that they can take advantage of that and promote that to their children as well. So you can see at the moment I've got from Dazzle, just as an example, they're doing some dance groups, which is why we've tagged the sport and physical activity. It's available to all, and the link is there. With Shantona, excuse me, I'm losing my voice, I've been on Zoom calls all day. With Shantona, they have some online recipes on YouTube and some online activities on YouTube. So we want to make sure that those of you who have already developed resources that you are happy to share with the group, we are sharing that. And if that's for wider use, we can share that with Child Friendly Leeds as well. So anyone got any questions about any of the activities that they could list on here? Nope. Okay, great. Just to say about that as well, if you've got PDFs of recipe cards or activity challenges that you would be happy to share with other groups, please do email those to me as well, and I will circulate those more widely. We're conscious that some of you may be looking to create stuff, and rather than you having to do it from scratch, if there's things out there that you can use, let's make sure we're sharing that as well. Just wanted to move on to food support and hand over, while I'm drinking my water, to our two food partners, Fair Share and Rethink. So as you know, in previous years we've had support from Fair Share and Rethink Food. This year they're going to operate slightly differently. Rethink will be providing fresh fruit and veg primarily, and Fair Share will be providing primarily ambient food, so food that you can store at room temperature, plus some bread, dairy goods and some other foods depending on their supplies. So I'll hand over to Fair Share first, and to Pete, if that's okay. And I've got the order form up, so I can share that on the screen as and when you need me to, Pete.
That's great. If you want to pop that form up, I'll just talk people through it a little bit.
Great, will do. Right, you just need to give me one moment. You know that feeling when you thought you had everything set up and then you find you don't? There we go.
Okay, so just the initial sort of bit, the information that we really need when you're sending this through to us on the front is the name of your project and the number of people you're actually looking to serve. And also, if you can highlight if there are any dietary requirements, such as if you're only doing vegetarian food, if you're only able to take kosher or halal meats. That'd be really good information for us too. Means we don't send the wrong products out. Also, if you just fill in what days you're operating, so I've just put together a quick thing there across all different weeks. If you just tick which weeks and days you're requiring food, it just means we can build an order based around that. The information on there, I'll let you read through that, but it's basically with the whole COVID problems, we've got to make sure that we're keeping our staff and volunteers safe. So there's quite a little bit about sort of the rules when coming on site. If you're collecting, they'll also, if we're delivering, then our drivers will maintain distance and they will leave the stuff, and you will then be able to take it from where they've left it. But you know, the drivers won't be able to come in and unpack as quite often they would. So the form itself hopefully is pretty self-explanatory. It's just a little tick box, or if you want, you could write the quantity you're needing in there. The chilled and frozen part, I just want to highlight that is for existing members with us. So if we've been and inspected and we are able to do chilled and frozen foods to you, then you can tick those. If they're not, if you've not been inspected and you tick those, it will be ignored because we can't send that out to you. So predominantly, if you've not been inspected, just focus on the ambient column, the first column, and within that you've got quite a big range. I've put on there UHT cheese, which it's very, very rare we get in, but we do sometimes get something like a Primula cheese that you can just, like squirty cheese in a tube. So if that comes in, then that'd be a bonus, but the rest of the stuff we do get quite regularly. Again, fruit and veg, snacks, tints. If you can just let us know roughly how many people you're serving, we can then try and adapt that to that particular scenario. So meats and fishes, again, the same thing. If you are either a registered community food member with us, or we've been out and inspected you for a previous Healthy Holidays, then we can do the chilled and frozen. If we haven't, then we can't do that, unfortunately. Again, with the sort of baked goods, majority of what we get in is just going to be loaves, bread buns, maybe hot dog buns. We do sometimes get crumpets and other sort of bread things in. Quite often we'll get cakes and buns as well. as an additional treat. If I know we're trying to keep this healthy, but it's always good to have a treat as well. So you'll also notice on there that within the drinks section we've got quite a lot of different drinks. I've crossed out energy drinks and iced coffee just because we don't want those going out to kids. This form is also going to be utilised for sending out to our CFMs once we're sort of a bit more established in the next couple of weeks. So, and then the notes at the bottom are for us. If there is anything you specifically want and you think we might be able to get it, then please add that into the notes section as well, and we will do our best. If we can supply it, we will do.
Great, thanks, Pete. Do you want to say anything just to sort of manage expectation about what might be available? Because I know it's been a real mix between intercepted, but the volume of stuff coming in at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, what we would try and say is not all of that is going to be available every week, but at the moment we get such an ad hoc selection of what's coming in. We've normally got some form of tinned fish. It might not be tuna, it might be pilchards one week, it might be tuna the next, and the same with meat. The majority of the tinned meats we get in are pork based. But if we do get anything else and you're able to take that, then that's another sort of additional thing. So
Great. Okay, and just to clarify, this form is for the third sector organisations to use to request food supplies from Fair Share. Is it for, can schools use this to bulk out what they're supplying as well, Pete, or do you want this just to be focused on third sector organisations?
it can be primarily, well, it needs to be primarily the third sector organisations. If schools want to fill one of those out and send it in, there's no harm in that. We can do what we can. We can't necessarily say we've got the amount of stock that they'll need though.
Great stuff. And we'll be sending these forms out, both this one and the Rethink food form out after this meeting. Have we got a deadline on when you would like this back, Pete?
As soon as possible, really. It can either be printed off and you can send a WhatsApp photo or email it. It's whichever's sort of best for you, really. But if we've got a WhatsApp link, then it's probably just as easy to WhatsApp it to me.
Great. And yes, I'm setting up a WhatsApp group after this meeting as well. So that will be the other thing to connect everyone together. Thanks, Pete. If there's nothing else from you, then over to Kevin.
Hi, thanks, Francesca. Yeah, Kevin from Rethink Food, and my colleague Chris Green is on the call as well. So just a little bit of backstory. Normally we would deal in surplus food, but during the crisis we were given some funding by DEFRA to purchase fruit and veg. So the last 3 to 4 weeks we've been providing that to mainly primary schools across Leeds, about 72 primary schools per week. That resource will shift to the Healthy Holiday Programme as of next week, so there is a bit of urgency with getting forms back as and when they go out. We're in an unusual position where you can order within reason pretty much what you would like per week. So what we've done is we've set up a Google form where you put your information in, and then if you go down, there's a selection of fruit and veg, and all you need to do is, and this is on a weekly basis, is fill in how many of each type of fruit or veg you would like. So we're dealing in boxes or bags. So you can't order 7 apples and 18 oranges. You would have to order a box of oranges and a box of apples, but it does explain how many are in each on the form. We've got the information for the weeks that you're operating, so it is as simple as filling that form out for 1 week, and we'll replicate that collection every week that you're operating. There may be some change as you operate for the first week. you might have excess or you might not have enough. At that point, you can contact us and we can alter the orders if required. But yeah, it's a very fortunate position we're in this year, one that we've not been in before, where we can provide such a provision. So as soon as you can fill that form out and get it back to us, if you are wanting a collection next week, we really need it back today or tomorrow to make sure we can put the order in. We're ordering from GT Produce, so we've got funding to buy fruit and veg, so it's coming from a wholesaler in Leeds, and then we'll be going out to yourselves to use. And again, that can be used in across your provision. Beyond that, there is extras we can offer, but we want to get this part right. Once we get this up and running and the fruit and veg coming out, there may be more that we can do, especially with the schools. If they're looking to top their deliveries up, we can certainly help there. But for now, if you could fill that form out as quick as possible, myself or Chris Green will be your point of contact moving forward, which I think it says on the sheet.
Great stuff. And Kevin, do you want to mention anything there about collections and delivery options?
Yeah, so at the moment we've said collection only, just because our infrastructure is slightly stretched at the moment. I think what we'd probably like to do is take it on an individual basis. Beyond that point, if you absolutely can't collect or it's becoming an issue, I'm sure there's something we can do with delivery. It's the same as Pete mentioned. It's just making sure that all safety procedures are in place if we are delivering, and we have our own that you'll have to adhere to when you collect. But in an ideal world, it would be collection.
Great stuff. And your location, just so everyone knows?
We're based in Pudsey.
Okay. Thanks, Kevin. Thanks, Pete. Does anyone have any questions on, oh, sorry, Kevin, on the fruit and veg for you, third sector or open for schools as well?
Everybody, yeah. Open to everyone.
Great. Has anyone got any questions for either Kevin or Pete? No? Okay, and again, Kevin and Pete will both be on the WhatsApp group, and we'll give you their contact details. So if you've got questions that you need answered quickly or directly, you can reach out to them. Great. The other thing to mention about the food is the Hamara Centre, which has been set up as a cultural food hub for Leeds as part of the COVID response from the council and partners. So if any of you need specific cultural foods, we've got a contact name, a contact email address and number there for you to place any orders that you need to. Okay, so last thing about the food is Public Health had just asked us to remind everyone of the guidance that you're already running a tricky project of being a food project. You've got your food safety requirements. During the pandemic, you've also got to make sure you're abiding by the COVID safety requirements too. So the Public Health has put some really simple information together just to make sure you're doing that as safely as possible. That was one of the links that was sent on the award letter to you. So please do make sure you've read it through, it all makes sense, and you're complying with those requirements. They are also providing some healthy eating leaflets and guidance and information for the families you're supporting about some of the other food support that their people are entitled to, just to make sure your families that you're supporting are receiving everything that they're entitled to receive. So we'll be sending that information through to you as well. I just wanted to move on to activities briefly. And for that, I'll just hand over to Kate if you want to just quickly talk through what you're providing through Street Games, Kate.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just going to pop some online training in the chat box. So we had a Getting Young People Active session on Tuesday, which was well attended by people who are running Healthy Holidays. I've just popped in the chat box some other training we have coming up in the next couple of weeks, obviously looking to support young people's mental health and well-being. So if you've got any staff, volunteers, young volunteers who you think could benefit from that free training, please get them signed up. We've also got a session 4 till 5 today with Leeds City Council looking at the more specific COVID restrictions in terms of delivering activities. So if anyone wants to come to that Zoom session, we're looking at kind of bubble sizes, risk assessment, health and safety angle, and giving some guidance there. So I'll pop that Zoom link in the chat box as well.
Great, thanks, Kate. And with those, will there be video links that we can share with the projects?
Yeah, they're all going to be recorded, and then we can share those around because I know how busy everyone is. So we'll get those videoed.
And did you want to mention anything about the kit bags and the activity packs?
Yes. So as part of our offer, we're going to be sending round household packs. I think Francesca, has there been a number agreed? Is that right?
Yeah, we'll be distributing those through our Fair Share food partner out to projects.
Okay, great. So we'll be giving out household packs with stationery and some sports equipment in there as well to support and to go out with the Fair Share food packages. So please use those as and where you need to. And we'll also be giving out sports bags. So if you're delivering activity for the first time, you'll have the kind of multi-skills equipment that you need to support your Healthy Holidays sessions this summer as well. So if anyone is in need of more of that kit or thinks they don't need that kit, please just keep in touch with me and Francesca. We'll make sure the right projects get what they need.
Thanks, Kate. The household packs are limited in number, so it's really at your discretion which families you want to allocate those to and share those out with. So thank you for that. We're also funding a few organisations this year who are going to be delivering activity through to your children and young people if you're interested in taking up that offer. So Jonathan, did you want to just mention anything quickly about Vegemation?
Absolutely, yeah. So just to say that we are already partnering up with Fall Into Place, which is fantastic. I will just give you a quick demonstration of what a Vegemation is, if you haven't seen one before. If you can see that.
My name is Scarlett and I like to play in a playroom.
There you go. That's a Vegemation, if you haven't seen one. So we're working with fruit and veg. Obviously the children are free to eat as much as they like during the sessions. We'd be looking to work with families or groups of really up to 10 children at a time at the moment. If we're delivering outside, which we're able to do now, we wouldn't really be able to do many more than that. But we have a gazebo for the tech, and the children are able to sit outside of that. Equally, we are able to offer sessions online. In those cases, the groups have to be smaller. We'd be looking around about 4 or 5 children for the online sessions, but we're really well set up for online and offline. We've also been delivering schools as well, where teachers and teaching assistants have been helping out, and they don't need that much tech actually. They've been working with one laptop and a whiteboard kind of thing. So whether you're a school or a community hub or just a family, we can deliver to you. But yeah, that's us. That's what we do with your fruit.
Great stuff. So we will be providing Jonathan's contact details out through the WhatsApp group. So if your community group or your school is interested in finding out more or getting them down to help you out, please do get in touch. Tony, did you want to talk about what you're doing with Chapel FM?
Yes, so Chapel FM / East Leeds FM radio over in Seacroft. We're going to be creating a new weekly podcast about young people across the city and how they're re-engaging with the world, looking at the world in unexpected ways. And those will come out every Friday in August as a live show, but we'll be doing pre-recorded short documentaries, 5 to 10 minutes. And we're glad to get in touch with any organization. We're already talking to a number about being able to come in either in person with 1 or 2 staff and perhaps 1 or 2 young people, or do remote recordings, which would consist of doing some interviews, just gathering some sounds and a short description of what you're doing. And then we'll go back with our young people and turn those into a fully produced audio piece that'll go into the podcast, but then you're also welcome to have a copy of that you can share back with your participants and their families on social media or wherever you like. So Katie Haley's all working with me on that as our participation manager. So she'll be the person who will coordinate and schedule in times if anybody wants to. And so our information is available, and that can happen anytime, really starting from next week through the end of August.
Great stuff. Thanks, Tony. So we'll be sharing contact details again, but Katie, I know, has got your contact details, so we'll be making contact with you as well about that. We hope that gives a really different experience to your children and young people that you're supporting, but that you also get some really good content out of it that you can use and share. Who couldn't be here today, I think, is the Beck project, unless Becky Jones is here and I've just not clocked her. Becky, are you here? No? Okay, then just to flag, so the Beck project at Gipsall have received funding for wellbeing packs. They've been doing these already and they've gone down really well. So it's we've had a lot of feedback from the COVID response projects talking about the mental well-being of their teams in particular. So these packs include printed materials around self-care, managing emotions, mindfulness, and where to get support in Leeds. They personalise them depending on the child, and they are for age groups 11 to 13 and 13 to 16. So again, we'll be sharing out the contact details for Becky, for you guys. If you have particular identified children, teens rather, in your groups who could really benefit from that, and we're hoping that that will help. A lot of the projects that we've spoken to, you seem really comfortable with the support that you can provide for primary school children. Teens, a different kettle of fish and can be really challenging, so anything else we can do to help engage with them, we're grabbing with both hands at the moment. So again, if you've got ideas or tools that you're using that you're finding are going down particularly well with your teens, please do drop me a text or an email, because we're keen to share those sorts of ideas and resources as well. Great. So that takes care of the activity. So just want to move on to the monitoring. And I'm just going to share my screen when I get the spreadsheet up. You should have all received a copy of this by email from the grants team. Right, is that sharing? There we go. Okay, a lot of you will be familiar with the end of grant reporting forms from Leeds Community Foundation, which are fantastically light touch. Speaking as someone who's completed evaluation grant forms from lots of different funding organisations, I think doesn't place too many demands on you. Department for Education is a different kettle of fish. There's more information that they need. We have looked at what they want us to report back on, and we have translated that into a monitoring sheet, which has now been sent out to all of the project applicants. So the first thing is they need information. They need to understand the number of children and the number of adults that you've supported. And in terms of the children, if those children are on free school meals or if they're SEND. So we are asking for you to put in your organisation, your application number, your organisation name. Healthy Holidays runs across Leeds and Bradford, so you'd obviously be saying Leeds. And then for each unique beneficiary you're supporting, the first name, the last name, whether that's a child or adult, date of birth, free school meal, SEND, school name, and if they're not at school, if they don't have any provision, school provision or place. Yes, just a yes or no if they've received food, and which types of delivery they've accessed. So that's one line per unique beneficiary. I think we've supplied GDPR information to you as well. If we haven't, that will be coming out to you very soon as well. What we'll be doing with that is collecting that in. Again, you were sent the deadlines as one at the end of July for the July information and one for the rest of the summer holidays. We won't be sharing the information on the individuals up with Department for Education, but we will want to aggregate this across the different projects, recognising that some children might be accessing projects from more than one site. So the reason why we need some of this individual information is just to enable us to deduplicate and come up with the total unique numbers. And that's what we'll then be feeding up to Department for Education. The second worksheet in there is the food and activity log. So this is just a quick count, a tally sheet for each day in terms of the food and the activity. So based on the feedback we got last year, where people interpreted how much food they were serving differently, we've broken it down to the smallest possible unit, which is the number of portions. So the number of portions you've done each day, how many food parcels you delivered each day, and in terms of food portions, how many portions does that equate to? And we made a suggestion as the way you might estimate how many food portions there are in the food parcels you're providing. We know that's going to be an estimate, but we've tried to put something in so that everyone is reporting in a consistent way. Again, we've tried to keep this simple, so we don't want a lot of information behind here, just the simple numbers. That will then help us to tell the story of quite how much food and meals you're providing as individual projects, but also collectively that we're providing through Leeds Community Foundation and our partners. And then for the activity, if you're doing stuff on site, how many kids were there on any given day? If you're doing activity packs, how many did you distribute on that day? And if you can, through your analytics, how many times your online resources were accessed. We know that's going to be imperfect, but we would just ask you to do your best effort to complete this. None of this is really going to be incredibly scientific, because one group's activity pack might be 2 weeks of activities and another might be just, you know, for a couple of days. So, but we need something in as a sort of basic number that we can include in there. So this would give us a sense of the amount of activity that's going on, and the beneficiary log will give us a sense of the amount of unique people, children, young people and adults that you've supported. So I just wanted to ask if you have any questions on that. Okay, sorry, I can see a couple of questions coming up first, so let me just take those. Tom, do you want to just ask your question over the call?
Yep, can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. So when inputting the food numbers, will I just add it to a total that's already in there, or have we got a separate sheet each? I'm just thinking, will it get added to somebody else's total that they might have input? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. So I'm just going to share my screen again.
I know what I mean.
I think I know what you mean. So this is what you are completing as an individual organisation or applicant.
Okay.
You'll then send that to Leeds Community Foundation. There are 2 dates that went out to you, one for the July information and one for the total at the end of the project that you're sending out. And we will then add those together across all of the different projects.
All right, okay. I wasn't sure if we were all adding to the same sheet because it was on a
No. You'll each have your own sheet.
All right, cool.
We didn't want to do anything that might be shareable, because that way, if someone enters something incorrectly, it might knock it out for everyone else.
That's great. That answers my question. Thank you.
Thanks. And Louise, do you just want to ask your question?
Yes, do you just want the number of food parcels that have gone out to the people attending the Holiday Hunger event?
Yes. Well, what else are you delivering, Louise? Just to give me a...
We're delivering food parcels to anybody in the Kirkstall ward, a lot of which have children, but may not come to the event because they're shielding. So they'll still be getting parcels, but they might not actually come to any of the events that we run.
Right. If they are children that you are supporting through the Healthy Holidays project, regardless of whether they're coming to you or whether you are dropping those off, if you can include those. If you are a community cares hub who is distributing food parcels more widely, we don't want to know that number. We want to know the number that of children you are supporting, whether that's online, on-site or offline at the doorstep.
Okay, lovely. Thank you.
Great. And does that answer your question, Louise?
Yes, it does, yeah.
Great stuff. And Becky, is there a question from Becky Murphy?
Yeah, just looking at number 6, the reporting, it says the interim report's due on the 4th of August. I'm a bit confused because we're not actually starting our project till the 24th.
Yeah, that's fine. If you're not, can you just email back to say that's the start date of your project?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
As you can imagine, thanks. Some projects will be starting as soon as the holidays start. Some are doing it at different times.
Brilliant.
But
Thanks.
even if you're not doing anything in July, can you just email back to the grants team? Otherwise, they're going to be chasing you for your numbers.
Okay.
Thanks. And Paula?
I was just questioning, because last year when it was a government project, we had to list all the primary schools that our children came from, which took forever because obviously they were coming from 43 different primary schools. But Amelia's answered my question that I can just list the secondary school. So that answers my question. I think it's the data is being used for different things this year, so it makes it a lot easier.
Great, thanks. Okay, thanks Amelia, thanks Paula. And Adele, did you still have a question, Adele?
Hiya, sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, hear you fine.
Right. It's in relation to Louise's question. So we've got the people that we're doing the community care hub for, but we want to include their children, even though they're getting food parcels and a shield in.
Yeah.
So we want to send them activity packs out so they can at least take part in it, even if it's not actually physically at the event. Do we then record those food parcels with the holiday hunger, or do we continue to do those through the community care hub?
That's a good question, because you almost need to split it. Can we talk after this meeting, and then we'll just make sure you've got it, because there's a bit of a unique situation you're in there.
Yeah.
Great. Thanks, Adele. Any other questions on the activities? We appreciate it's a lot of information for you to for you to have to provide, but it is what we need in order to make sure that we can report accurately up to the DFE. Great. Lauren, I don't know if you're raising your hand or if you were just adjusting your camera. I think you
I was adjusting my screen, sorry.
That's all right. Okay, great stuff. So that takes care of the monitoring. And of course, you'd have your usual end of grant form as well. Just in terms of that monitoring, what has been really powerful for us in the last year and through the COVID response period has been being able to share what you're doing via social media. So some of you have been running schemes already, have been doing that, and it's been incredibly powerful for us, because we can share that with stakeholders, we can share that with potential funders and donors, and we can also share that with other projects so that they can see what other people are doing, and that hopefully helps stimulate their ideas. So we'd like to make sure we're continuing to do the same. There's a hashtag that we will be sharing to encourage you to use on the back of that. Two other things to mention. I'm really conscious of time, I'm so sorry. The first is the Leeds School Uniform Exchange. So with the Leeds City Council, we've provided some funding to Zero Waste Leeds. They are supporting local groups to do uniform exchange schemes. They have a face group set up. We'll be sending you the link to encourage you to get involved in that. Hopefully that helps stretch budgets going further, given the average cost for uniform is supposed to be about £200 or £250 these days. And also we're doing some work around digital exclusion. So there is some tablet lending that is going on with the community hubs and the schools, and we are trying to get a laptop donation and distribution project set up for some of the third sector organisations as well. So there'll be more information following on those. We're just on 1 minute too. I guess if you've got other queries, Please do get in touch with myself or with our food or activity partners, with the community hub partner if you need to, or with Amelia for schools. But thank you all so much. It feels very weird just talking at people and not having a discussion. I hope you've managed to take on board everything that's been thrown at you.